In this video, we're going to look at the difference between pessimistic thinking and optimistic thinking, and subsequently we're going to see how this can help us emerge out or overcome our failures, and how important our choice is when deciding to do something, because our choice predefines the result that we're going to have and the logic that we're going to establish and subsequently view the world as. After the intro, we're going to look at why I decided to do this video, why I think it's important, and start making the connections as well as some examples so that we can make the better connections, better practical connections regarding the difference that we're establishing here in this video. Of course, the best advice that I can give you at this point is to watch the video until the end, because it's the best way to get a better understanding of the full picture, get a better understanding of my point of view and the explanation I'm attempting to give you or provide to you. So it really is one of my advices, at least in this case. As well, this channel has always been focused on how we can change our perspectives, how we can see where we make mistakes, and how we can apply our thoughts into practical actions, regardless of how impossible we may think that it looks in the beginning. So if you're interested in following this process and the themes that we're exploring in this channel, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so that you get a notification when there's a new video. And another thing that you can do to help the video is to like and share it, because this helps YouTube understand which people are interested in this video, and the video itself rises in its ranks, in which case YouTube starts to share it to more people. The idea of this video comes from a series of comments that started on a specific video in this channel. One of the projects or the series that I've started creating in this channel is breakdowns on sessions from a lecturer called Bashar, who shares information with us on how we can, let's put it simple, live an easier and happier life. And the comments and questions are regarding the theme, why are we here in physical reality? Basically, the information in the session, just to give you a short roundabout of what happens in it, is about why we are in physical reality, because there's a spiritual point of view, there's a soul point of view, and a lot of different things. A lot of times the question is, why do we have to endure what we're enduring in the material world? And Bashar gives us some information in that session, which is practically about exploring new themes, exploring challenges, exploring processes, and overcoming the limitation that we've imposed on ourselves. In which case, when we do these things, we have experiences and examples that we can provide and share with others, so that they can better build up their own reality and in their turn make the changes that they would prefer, and move forward in their life to more broader ideas of the same thing, etc. The comment below was very well brought up. I really liked it in the beginning because it brought up some questions that I've actually looked into myself. I've thought about them for a long time. I'm still looking at them from different points of view to see if I'm missing something, and I do believe that there are a lot of people who are in that state or mindset, as it were. Because the ideas that are brought up there is that there are a lot of people who are very devoted to these pieces of information that tell you that you can do anything, that you're everything that is, that you have limitless opportunities, possibilities, potential, etc. But a lot of those people don't actually manage to work out their difficulties, their traumas. They don't actually grow or move forward or rise above, as it were, soar above these problems that they initially had when they started. And there are different there are different concepts shared in this series of comments. You can check them out in the video. You'll see it on your top right corner of this video as a suggestion. And we're not going to go into depth there, but I was very excited in the beginning, and I provided an answer, the best answer that I could think of at the moment when I was writing it, and it did prove to be fairly long. As far as I know, as far as my experience has shown, this is the best answer that there is and we have at the moment. And it works for me, it works for a lot of other people that I've seen accept this perspective. And in the end, why I decided to do this video, because the following answers of the comments was more about how the perspective of accepting and adapting to our reality is actually pushing us towards conformity. And from there on, it's a lot more delved into the perspective of being a victim. And since we're focusing on the fact that we are a victim in this instance, I decided to not answer and make this video to make it clearer. And from this point of view, I'm going to end my side of the conversation with this video because it's all connected and based on the choice that we make. This is the base on which our reality is built on. This is how we predefine what the results we're going to have. This means that an event by itself is meaningless, but if we have chosen to have a negative understanding, a negative perspective, a negative point of view, we are definitely going to have a negative experience of that event. Every event, however we may wish for it to be, however we may wish for it to look like, it's always meaningless, and we're the ones assigning the meaning. So the issue here, it's not really an issue, but the problem that we fall into when we start thinking about the victim's perspective is that we don't actually accept the point of view, and we don't actually understand the fact that the victim has chosen to be a victim. That's the difference between everything. If we choose, let's look at it on the other side, to be positive, to look at everything from a positive mindset and be accepting and forthcoming, not accepting even, forthcoming towards everything around us, being proactive with everything around us, seeing, if we choose to see how everything around us can be useful and used in a grateful way towards the direction that we've chosen to develop, everything aligns exactly how we prefer it to be. Having said this, I am not attempting to invalidate the points of view that people in the comments are sharing, because this is again a perspective that does exist. If something exists, it's being experienced. Everything is possible. So from that point of view, this is also possible. This is also something that we can experience. The idea is that, are we sure we wish to choose to experience it? And this is where again we need to take responsibility for our choices, or at least look into ourselves and what we're thinking, how we're accepting things, in order to understand what we wish to experience. Let's call it honest self-assessment. And once we understand what we wish to experience, or what we are experiencing, and if we wish to change it, accepting a new perspective, a new way of thinking, a new mindset, a new point of view, and forgetting the old one and filtering everything through the new one, we can see the change. It might take us some time because habits need to adapt to the new way of life, so to speak, but it's just that we should choose something and move forward in that direction. Be confident in the direction that we're moving, while accepting the variations of feedback we receive from our surrounding environment. The importance of accepting our environment's feedback, it comes from the fact that this is where we develop. Our results, as well as everyone else's results, is based on the results or the reflection that we or they have from sharing their work with everyone else. This is how we learn different possibilities of our creation. This is how we learn where we can improve it. This is how we learn what we can add to it. This is how we learn what it's missing. This is how we learn what we were missing when we were thinking about it. And all this is revolving around the fact that if we're doing something, it's supposedly something that we're passionate about. So getting feedback from the surrounding environment is actually helping us work more on the thing that we desire, more on the thing that we're passionate about, more on the thing that we're excited to do, create, develop, etc. And from there on, it doesn't really matter what's happening. The idea is, if you so choose to accept it, that we can move forward. And from that point of view, everything is in order, because we always have the next step, we always have our next assignment, we always have the next challenge, because we're always missing something. There's always something that we might not have seen, might not have predicted, a need, a requirement, bug, something, whatever it is. Think about how fast everything develops through the technology that we have. I'm creating this video through someone else's genius, because somebody has decided that we can capture specific moments respectfully, because a single moment isn't really enough to tell a full story, because you need to remember it. We have a new device, a device that can record multiple moments at once, so that we can have a continuity, like a video. Instead of a picture, we have a video. And think about how much this has adapted throughout the years, where it's just an easy machine that everybody can use to store their experiences, ideas, whatever it is, and go back, even share it with more people, which sharing is based on another genius, because there's another platform where people are allowed or have the opportunity to upload their memories or experiences, whatever it is, etc., etc. Basically, what I'm attempting to tell you or give to you is that sharing and using someone else's genius is actually how we develop. This is how we become more unified. We see more application with the different aspects of life. And I'm saying aspects because I mean we're using different pieces of technology to achieve what we're looking at. Think about the computers and the huge Excel spreadsheets that you have in your work, or that the corporate work requires. Instead of writing formulas like you're a professor in a university of mathematics, you just need to input some data into one cell or a couple of cells, and the formula, which is already in there, is going to do the equations for you. It's going to give you the result right away. And this is because somebody has shared their genius. This is how we develop. This is how the world works faster. And the more we use it, the more fun it is. The more we're being used, the more excited we are. Let's call this the optimistic point of view, because we're looking at how we can do things, how things can happen, how fast they're happening, as opposed to previously when there wasn't this sort of technology. Whereas the pessimistic side, it's based on negative beliefs, negative thoughts that aren't actually connected. What they do is keep us in check, keep us limited, limit our actions, are always based on the fact that we should stumble, we shouldn't go forward, we don't know what's happening, I mean, what's going to happen, we don't know if it's good or bad. And there are always connections that make us believe that they are bad, and this belief is so strong that we actually don't even think about making the connections of how things are going to happen. This is what negative beliefs do. They cut off our potential in order to have us do nothing. Stay still. That's it. There's no other application of the negative belief. By themselves, the negative thoughts are in no way connected. They have no connections, but they seem like they do. They're just spontaneous thoughts, spontaneous series of thoughts that we have, which don't allow us to make the opportunistic connection that something is possible, something might be achievable or good or what have you, whatever might bring us inspiration to do it. And this is where the negative side is. By itself, it's not really negative, it's a state of mind which, nobody cares about because everybody has his own point of view. But the idea here is that the expression is missing. The fact of the matter is that in my experience, because of these negative thoughts and beliefs, I have been in a stressful state, have experienced anxiety, have been really uncomfortable in many situations. And once I actually started looking at the perspective of accepting, at one point I reached the conclusion that I should just observe what the situation is instead of assigning it a meaning, whatever it is, good or bad, whatever my belief of that meaning is. I would just look at it, observe it, so that I can get a better understanding of what's actually happening. The implosion of my mind was when I saw that none of the negative thoughts, negative beliefs that I had about a person, situation, interaction, or whatever it is that I was observing is untrue, it's false. And from there on, I actually saw a huge amount of different potential that I have never seen before, because I was in a stressful state which wouldn't allow me to see the opportunities that I'm seeing now. And for me, since there are opportunities that I'm seeing for the first time, it's something new to experience, something that I can use, something that inspires ideas, brings up ideas in my head of how it can be applied, how it can be used, how it can be useful, etc. Because thoughts connectively, we're attempting to build them up. Since then, I've decided to stop assigning any meaning to a specific person. Whatever happens, I'm always open or looking into the idea of listening to that person so that I can understand his perspective, because however negative it might seem, it is still an experienced perspective. That point of view has some sort of experience behind its back, which means that from that perspective it can be useful in some way. In what way? I always understand in the future when I'm able to test it out, to look into the difference of what I'm seeing, what the person is seeing, and how everything can be used in a positive perspective, because this is my choice now. And having made that choice, it's a lot easier to accept any situation, any person, any interaction, any challenge, any task that comes forward in my life, because it's just my choice. I've had a literal revelation every time I've been tired and something comes up, something that I'm recognizing as my best next step, because it's coming to me as an opportunity. I'm deciding to recognize it as my best next step for the direction that I'm developing, for the idea that I'm looking into at that moment. And regardless of how tired I am, once I say to myself, well, I've chosen this, I can do it, and I do it, and the inspiration rises even more. And I'm happy that even when I'm tired, I'm able to move even more, move forward even more. And this is an infinite source of inspiration for me. I'm not really sure how to share it with you, except through sharing it like I am at this moment, because it's my experience. I've seen it for myself, and the idea here is that you can do it too if you so desire, if you choose to do it. Everything is based on our choice.